We have only 35 chambers. There is no 36.
I know that. But I want to create a new chamber.
And what would that be?
I think Shaolin techniques should be available to all. So then, that's my idea for a new chamber. To teach the martial arts to the people. Anybody.
All right, welcome back to another episode of My 3 Cents. Let's get right into it. So, I already know this is the hot topic. I know some of y'all been waiting on me to say something about it, and I'm gonna go ahead and blow the lid off of it as far as I'm gonna drop the metaphysical knowledge on it. Instead of talking about what I'm gonna do, let's just get right into it. So thank you, repeat listeners, for returning. First time listeners, welcome to the program. I hope you get something from this. I'm just an outside the box thinker that likes to share his ideas, because holding in heavy energies can kill you, man. That stuff can hurt you. So if you got something to say, get out there and say it. Don't worry about it. Speak your truth and rest easy, right? So first thing I want to say is that with the Will Smith slapping the Chris Rock, I feel like he was a chump. As soon as I seen it, I was like, wow, he's a sucker for that. And I got a lot of issues with it, and I'm gonna hit this from all sides. So I'm gonna want y'all's feedback on this. You already know what time it is. I'm gonna leave my email. You can leave messages through the app or whatever. So let me know what y'all think about these angles that I'm gonna give you. All right. So the Will Smith slap. First thing I'm thinking, was it a humiliation ritual by Hollywood? What I mean by that is, was it something set up to humiliate Will Smith publicly? Why would they do that? So a lot of people don't realize that Hollywood is a club. It is something where they do a lot of different rituals. And when you hear the word ritual, don't get spooked and start thinking crazy. It's everything from getting married to having prayer, right? All these different things are ritualistic in nature because it is just a summoning of energy for some type of event. I mean, it is what it is. If you're spooked by it, then don't look at your life, because you're going to see all kind of rituals in it, right? Things you do at certain times of the day, pretty much every day or every month. Those are also considered rituals. So don't be spooked and triggered by these words I use, right? So I thought this could have been a humiliation ritual for a couple reasons. The main reason was that this movie that he was getting the award for, it seemed like everyone knew he was going to get the award. This was something that was predestined, pre-set up, and you got to understand, if you know how this stuff works, there's a lot of communication behind the scenes, right? You viewing it on television is the entertainment for you. This is just for them another chance to act and have a show in front of people. And later, I'm going to give you more insight on, well, why even put the show on? What's the purpose? I'm going to hit you with that. Don't worry. So with the movie he made, he was paid. Now, this is the stuff that they have reported that's public information, right? Where you can look up things about movies, budgets, and different stuff like that. So he was paid around $40 million reportedly. The movie cost $50 million reportedly, so that's 90 mil. And then you have the box office bringing in 30 mil, 60 mil short. So what you guys gotta understand is they spend a lot of money on the different stories, distractions, and things they put out, because yes, you will have some type of heartwarming or funny, comedic surface story, but then you will also have what the real money is paid for is the intricate webs of the understories, right? The under levels of whatever they're trying to give you. So this is where the money comes in. This is why you have to be a good actor, because you need to pull this off to where it seems real on the surface. So you got to understand that with everything we do, there's levels to it, man. And when you're dealing with the surface, never take the surface for too much of the entirety of the thing, because it is only the surface, right? What is under the skin. So in that respect, it was almost like because they went out of their way to get him, secure him, gave him the money, Even to where he had to come back and put money in people's pockets that worked on the movie because they were out of money. You can look this stuff up. So I was thinking this was kind of a humiliation ritual at first because I didn't watch it, but when I went back and looked at some of the clips, the main thing I noticed was that each comedian that went up there took shots at him and Jada. All right? So you got to understand how they do it. This was somewhat of a roast, okay? I saw a woman say something about Jada's boyfriends and Will having to deal with that. I mean, it was all kind of stuff, and it was about them the whole night because everyone knew he was going to get this award, right? This is just how it goes. But the thing that got me was that when Chris Rock did his joke, Will took it over the edge, right? And so everybody said much worse things, and I believe that's why Chris even said, hey, that was a nice one, right? Because you got to understand, they're not writing these jokes, and a lot of this stuff is not off the cuff, it is pre-written. They have writers for shows like this. They're called scribes. They have people that, well, they used to be called scribes in this situation, but they have people that write the narrative for shows like this, okay? This show itself is somewhat of a ritual. I will explain. So that was why I thought that, okay, this could have been a humiliation thing because they do that a lot. They do the roast for the comedians, for the actors or celebrities, especially when they're kind of leaving their career. They've made a lot of money, they've done a lot of things. They roast them on the way out. So think about these things and why they exist, okay? Some will say that these are Masonic ideologies, the humiliation rituals and stuff like that. Yes, they are related. Who really cares who started what? It's just recognizing what you recognize and seeing it as a ritual and understanding what you're involving your energy with. That's where I come in with this. I'm not one of those, this is that and this is that, I only want to apply it to your everyday life so that you're not blindly involved in something, right? And just throwing your energy away. So another thing I noticed with the whole slap situation was that after he slapped him, he was able to receive his award, and then he cried during the award. He did the actor cry, right? Where you get that one tear. If anybody's ever cried for real, which I'm sure everybody has, you can't stop the tears when they start flowing. You're having a hard time stopping the tears, especially if you don't have a napkin or something with you, right? Tissue. So look, he's up there with the one streak. This is the movie streak, pulling it off. He's doing this speech. And what triggered me in a way was that the first thing he did was reference the character that he just played in the movie and how the character had to protect his family. He started going on about that first, and immediately what I got was mental illness. Now, follow me on this. I was just talking about this the other day, how it's very unhealthy for celebrities and ones that call themselves actors to actually do that as a craft. Why is it a craft, right? Understand the magic and the knowledge behind this stuff, okay? To imitate and to take on all these other personas is very unhealthy to who you are. And I believe, and I always say this, that's why they get paid so much money. They get paid a lot of money, one, to be a distraction, two, to not be themselves, right? They'll spend the majority of their lives, especially if they're good at what they do, not being themselves. Think about that. So that was another thing I was looking at, was the fact that he got up, did this weird speech. He did a tear, right? The tear streak. He starts talking about defending his family, being a river to his people, a river for his people, however he put it. My daughter was looking at it. She goes, actors are good liars. Because even she could see, this is weird. She likes the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, stuff like that. We've seen this dude in different situations, different lights, and this was clearly acting. Now, in our community, and this is one thing that divides us in the community, big time, black women, the black women in our community, for the most part, and I won't say all, were supporting what Will did because they felt protected. Now follow me on this. The majority of black men are raised by single black women. The majority. Especially when you're talking about celebrities. I kind of found it sickening that the black woman was so quick to say he did the right thing. Because growing up in different places where I grew up, I've seen a lot of guys get beaten up, beaten down, and some killed. I didn't witness the kill, but you get what I'm saying. Over a woman, a female. And I don't think people talk about that enough, how the black woman will easily manipulate the mind of a black man who thinks his number one role is to protect. This is a misconception. I was talking to actually my mom about this last night. We were having a conversation, and she brought up, not having a problem with the type of man that's ready to lead, or not just lead, but provide and protect. And so I just kind of stopped on the provide and protect part, because it's something that we kind of say real fast, and I don't think we're going into what that really means. And we don't realize that today's man, the modern black male, whether he's a jit or an adult, has no real knowledge of what a real protector or provider is. First of all, if you're a black man, you might have been right now raised up in the generation where you were brought up by a single parent, right? If you were, 9 times out of 10, it was your mother, right? 9 times out of 10, it was your mother. So if you're in that situation, you don't really know, first of all, if you had limited male interaction growing up, you're not going to really understand the provider protector part. You're just going to think that a man has to be a tough guy because you're going to get all your ideas off of TV, off of movies, and stuff you see in the street, stuff you hear, right? This is how the boys are affected. The women are supporting a disorder that they're giving the young men that are becoming men that don't realize they have a disorder, and they're not ready to play the position that they think they are meant to play, which is the protector provider, because they don't understand themselves full enough yet to be trying to protect and provide for somebody else. That's my point. So how do I feel like the black woman is wrong for immediately supporting what happened? Because they're supporting it in the name of the black man protecting his woman, and saying things like, it's been a long time since we've seen this, the black man. So it's really insulting us on the slide, really trying to compliment his dysfunction. Will Smith is clearly an emotional man. You know how I feel about emotional men? I've said it before, an emotional man is a dangerous man. Now do y'all get it? He is unstable. He cannot do what he needs to do because he does not fully understand his own inadequacies. So to have a man that old, that rich, and that out there extrovertedly never do shadow work in life is a damn shame, and it's weird. And it also shows you that these guys are so busy playing other people, they don't take the time to put into themselves, and that's despicable. That's disgraceful. Also, these are the same ones hollering Black Lives Matter. Make your life matter. Care about yourself. Stop pretending. Take a break from that. Let's do some real life stuff. See? It's easy to say stuff matters when you got all the money in the world and you're having a great day. But when the true you is revealed, it doesn't look that great. Because the truth is, you haven't done much self-development. And I'm not just talking about Will, I'm talking about a lot of these people that spend 90% of their life playing pretend. This guy was also, you can consider him a child actor because he started off rapping and all these things he did. He was young. He was young-minded. He was young. Look at the documentaries of his television show. It's actually all right. You know? So I feel like this was just a crazy example of an emotional black man on a world stage making us look very unstable once again. I also feel like he violated the oath that all actors take, all Calebs. They take the same oath. They feel safe around each other for that reason. An average person would not have been able to get that close to Chris Rock. So what you gotta understand is that they have a certain energy with each other. So in a room like that, racism does not exist the same way it exists for you. You get what I'm saying? There's a certain safety they feel with each other because it's something they all have in common. They're all in this Hollywood club, right? Because remember, this event was no more than a ritual. Don't worry, I'm gonna close the book on that one before this is over. So I feel like they shouldn't be so quick to approve of his behavior. We need more stable black men. Not show the world that more black men are willing to attack another black man in the name of a black woman. Not only that, brother, you get up there and say that you're doing it to protect your family, but how? Your son wears a dress, sir. How are you protecting your family? And I'm not putting your family down by any means. I'm not putting this family down, but sweep around your own front door. Because what you're saying and what you're doing is contradicting each other. Your daughter, your people had suicidal issues. Your wife puts your information, your private information made public on TV, on the internet. You crying on the TV, on the internet? Y'all crying? Y'all got all kind of stuff going on. You saying you have an open relationship? Bro, I'm not judging you, but what I'm saying is, how is this guy protecting his family? What does that even mean to him? We got to stop cheering on people's mental illness. They say this man released a book, and the first line of his book was, "I've always felt like a coward." What? So he talks about how his mother was abused and how he didn't do anything about it, and it's always haunted him. But here's the thing. Here is the thing. You're grown now. And you mean to tell me with all the time that you have been provided with your luxury money, of having excess money, you have been provided time. See, remember, time is money. When you have money, you have time. That is the most valuable asset. Time. How do you acquire more time? By accruing money. Right? So you mean to tell me a person with this kind of time has not taken the time to do shadow work? You have not healed your child yet? Oh, wow. But that's no excuse. It should be an eye-opener to the black community to do your shadow work. This man is a millionaire many times over. And is so emotional that instead of being in gratitude energy on a night where he's being celebrated and ridiculed, and he knows why. That's why he said, well, I know taking the jokes and this and that is a part of what I gotta go through, but to hear it about my wife, I can't handle it. He said that, or something to that effect. Because he understands the humiliation that has to come with it. But you don't get to pick and choose when you're not okay with it, when you willingly participate. You can't do that. You're just exposed to the world that you're a 40, 50-something year old hurt little boy. Still. And he goes on to say in his book, which is something that I found extremely despicable, was that when his father was old and in a wheelchair, and he had to take care of him, and he was there with him, he said the thought came to his mind finally, and this is how he puts it with the word finally. The thought came to his mind that he could actually do it. He could push him down the stairs. When I heard that, I said, man, this guy is disgraceful. You would say something like that? Let alone, this is normal to you? Because to expose something is somewhat normal to a person, right? Like these thoughts that I have, when I go out on my tangent thinking, writing things down and want to come on and do these episodes, this is something personal to me. That's why I go in on it. I release it. I don't sit here and feel no type of way after I release this. So you guys got to see through the smoke and mirrors of being a celebrity, being rich, whatever that is. If you haven't put the work in, you're still going to be an empty shell of a creature. And this was a poor representation of a wealthy black male. It really was. So, I don't understand how he's protecting his family with that. Another thing I wanted to say was, what I already mentioned kinda was that, did Chris even write the joke? Did he even write the joke? Because every comedian that got up there made jokes about him and Jada. More personal jokes about their open marriage, about their relationship. This man made a G.I. Jane joke. Are you kidding me? If you haven't seen G.I. Jane, the movie is about a woman they tried to convince couldn't do what she really wanted to do. She beat the odds against like some special forces preparation and training type stuff. Right? She shaved her head in the movie so she had that same look that Jada Pinkett is sporting right now, which she could have easily wore a wig if she was sensitive about it. Now, this is what I mean about that. One, I felt like military women should almost be offended that she was offended by being compared to G.I. Jane, which was at the time a very powerful movie for women. It was a very celebrated movie for women. So I found it odd that that offended her. Second of all, Will laughed at the joke. And when she didn't laugh, it was almost like he was signaled. I don't know what she might have tapped him, kicked his foot. Hey, I don't know. But it was almost like he was signaled to do something about it. And maybe he took the opportunity with Chris to do something about it. Because like I said, the other comedians were mostly women. They were getting up there and saying personal things about him, but they were women. He could not go up there and slap one of those women. But if you're such a sensitive and out of control person, you're waiting on the opportunity to express that in front of everyone. This is kin to throwing a tantrum, not protecting your wife. She was in no danger. I'm sure you guys can take feeling uncomfortable for 1 hour out of your night, out of your life. I'm sure you can find comfort when you leave the building. There's a lot of ways to handle things, guys, and so what I'm saying is, I'm not going with the whole protection thing. It ain't flying with me. So, another thing is that people are saying she has this disease. Alright? I'm just going to tell you, it's called alopecia. You can classify it as a disease, like many things, and it is... I don't like how they're explaining it. They're saying it's a disease that causes baldness, but the baldness happening is alopecia, which they would have normally called male pattern baldness. Well, maybe not male pattern, because there's no genetic that has to be involved with alopecia. So it's the losing of the hair. You don't control it. She doesn't have cancer or anything like that. I'm not downplaying it, but I do remember her saying that she's totally all right with it. She loves it, feels empowered. I mean, I'm just saying, you said all that. Don't get sensitive. Don't use a sensitive man to fight for you when you know he don't need to be up doing that. That man done been through enough. You don't need a woman like that, brothers. If you got a woman that every time something happens, she expect you to get up and do something about it, bro, that's gonna get you locked up or killed. I understand defending, but it has to truly be a situation where you're standing up for, right? Not defending in a way to say, I'm offended, now I'm gonna get up and do something. Nah, quit being sensitive. You gotta know when to draw the sword. Remember what I said about the meek shall inherit the earth? The word meek was interpreted from the definition of he who has the sword and knows how to use it but chooses to keep it sheathed. That is the definition of the word meek. So the meek shall inherit the earth. We know that earth is an anagram for the heart as well. So what I'm saying is you don't have to chop somebody's head off because you feel like you have the right to. Knowing that you can should be enough. Only a true powerful person understands what I just said. So another thing is, like, Chris is a legend, right? This guy is an icon in Hollywood. If he gets up there and mentions you in a movie like, let's say, G.I. Jane 2, don't you know that that could signal Hollywood, depending on how you responded in that moment, to put you in your own debuting movie and possibly make up for some of this money that your husband lost everybody? Lost all those, I don't know how to refer to them. I'll say Jewish entertainer people. I don't want to offend. It's very sensitive in this society. So he lost a lot of people, a lot of money. She could have been given an opportunity right there if you weren't busy being offended. You could have represented the strong black women right now in a brand new G.I. Jane 2. Wouldn't this be the perfect time? That's what I mean. Sometimes we're so offended and we are so reactionary that we throw away an opportunity. We exchange an opportunity for an opportunity, right? Except the one you're exchanging was great. And what you exchanged it for was the opportunity to react. That was your freedom, your dopamine. Think about that. We got to stop doing that. So this was black on black violence on the world stage. This was a worldwide event. This was the worst place to do something stupid like that. And look, shout out to Chris Rock though, because that man didn't stumble. That man's feet did not even shift. He slightly leaned. I was like, wow, yo, either Will is kind of weak, but he trained for Ali, so it's like, bruh, what you doing, man? You could have knocked this dude. If you even chipped one of this guy's teeth, you would have been done. That's damages, if you understand the law. Chris took no damages, so he wanted to press no charges. He was a G for that. He didn't even touch his face. Look at it. And then for a split second, me and my daughter saw for a split second, we recognized that Chris got into a fighting stance for a split second. And then it was like, okay. So yeah, I don't know, man. It was just very weird. And I don't understand anybody supporting it. It was just very strange. So yeah, this is a sensitive man, like I said, open relationship type of man. That's a sensitive man. You can go up and act like an alpha, but here's what you guys got to be able to see as well. I mean, we know that this guy is not an alpha, which I'm not saying you have to be. Me, myself, am what they call a sigma man. So there's types that you got to understand. But I'm not trying to represent that. I'm more of gaining knowledge on things and then run across a type and read things and say, oh, wow, that sounds like me, right? So that's more of where I'm coming from with it. But you can't even think this guy's an alpha male, and I can tell you how. Any alpha male knows that what he watched was not an alpha male moment at all. An alpha male would have actually slapped one of the women as well. You see, so it's not just like a pick and choose type of thing in that true alpha. You see, because an alpha can be a jerk. He can be an a-hole. A true alpha, he always has a point to prove. Also, an alpha wouldn't slap. He would have punched. Trust me. He would have punched more than once. He would have did too much. A beta would go up in some fancy gestures, style, swag, and slap the other person pretty hard. And walk away pretty swaggy. That is textbook what a beta male would have done. Because to him, he feels like for that moment, he was alpha. To the trained eye, we know what we just saw. An unstable beta. I'm not insulting, I'm just saying what you're witnessing. Things have categories for reasons. We all fall in multiple categories. You can't avoid them. Right? They were made and created by people. You're a people. This is how it works. So that was not, I don't see how people think it was anything alpha. And I'm saying that more so to black women, because I know that a woman probably even less understands what these different categories of man are as far as beta, alpha, sigma, these different things. I don't think that women understand it as much as men, and I don't even think many men understand it, because every man thinks he needs to be an alpha, which is, it might not be what you need to be aiming to be. That's not, it doesn't really reside within balance, in my opinion. The sigma is more within a balance. So we know that wasn't an alpha male moment, right? Now, assault is assault. These guys were under the oath. He violated his safety. This guy let him get close to him. So that was a weird moment in itself. And then the speech and the crying, everything, like I said, maybe it was a part of ritual, maybe it wasn't. Now, what I want you to understand too is that there's going to be a little bit of gematria with this one, because if you didn't know, this was the 94th Oscar, right? This was the 94th. If you understand gematria, which is Jewish gematria, if you say, well, I don't get into all that, then you got to understand that if you get into the Bible, religions, things like that, well, that came from Hebrew, which deals in symbols, which deal in number or numerology energy, okay? So gematria is an extension of that same number, energy, symbol, knowledge, okay? It is just the knowledge that under certain numbers, there is certain energy, period, okay? So if that spooks you, you really don't belong in these conversations. So this was the 94th Oscar, right? We know that that's a 13, which is a B, right? Which is also 4 when you reduce these things. So the 13 is also a 4, which is a door, right? A black door, right? So what does that mean? Well, it just so happens that in this year, there was an all-black production team that handled the Oscars, right? Is this a coincidence? Who knows? I'm just showing you the energy behind the scenes. So this was the 94, which was a 13, which is a B, because the 13 is also the symbol for B. You know that. I've given you that knowledge before through etymology and other things, because this is also why when you're dealing with the 13th Amendment, this is also why you don't have 13th floor in hotels. You got to notice these things and understand why and what they are avoiding, what energy, right? The 13th is bad, right? So you got to understand why they are attaching those type of unlucky or whatever energies to these number symbols, okay? So this was an all-black production team, right? So, and then we have an event like this that takes place, right? This also took place on 3/27/2022. So to break that down for gematria, we have the 3 that is obviously there. Boom. We have the 27, which is a 9. We have the 2022, which is a 6. If you understand knowledge, and if you're on certain levels, then you already have recognized the Nikola Tesla discovered 369 code of the universe that exists within everything. That also bleeds into the Fibonacci, the golden ratio, and things like that. So I'm giving you these keywords to connect and go look these things up and understand fully what I'm talking about. So the day itself was marked by the 369 code, which equated to a 9. How do you get that? 3 and 9 are 12. And then you have the 6 that gives it 18. 1 and 8 is 9. So the 369 code reduces to a 9. What is a 9 under the energetic meaning? A 9 is the completion of a cycle. Okay, this is like the 9 in the womb. This is just like the sections of a year, where you have the 3, 6, the 90 days, the 30, 60, 90. These are all degrees. All right, these are all things you got to understand that are all connected, that most people just have not studied enough to be able to zoom out and see how all this stuff is clearly related. Okay, I'm gonna show you some stuff here in a second that is really gonna blow your mind about the Oscars, and it's clearly related to ritual that you might not have realized. Okay, so let's see. That's all the gematria and number stuff I wanted to go over. Just the fact that it was the 94th, the 13th, the B. That's a 4. That's a door, right? It was an all B, black production, and then you have the 369 code on the date. So this would have been a very powerful day, just energetically, to do anything, right? If you had a plan to do something, this would have been a great day to orchestrate it, because there was a lot of things in, let's say, the universe that were aligned a certain way, right? At least to our knowledge. And what is aligned to your knowledge is what is real to you, and is what will create your narrative and your reality, right? It is what will create your narrative and your reality, what is real to you. Okay, I got a little tongue-tied for a second, a little twisted up. Well, that thing is real. So, all right, so let's get to the good part. I want to break down for you some Oscar statue knowledge. A lot of y'all might have heard some of this. You might have never heard this before. This is going to blow your mind if you never heard it. They're not going to teach you this, all right? So I know a lot of Christians and people that belong to these different sects. You gotta watch the Oscars, right? It's cool. You're just watching awards, right? All right, let's talk about it. So this comes under what they call Asarian theology. So this is a knowledge of our people from the past, what they call ancient Egypt, or also called Kemet, right? So Asarian theology, you can look this up. The Oscar statue is a spin-off of something from ancient Egypt. I'm going to show you what it is, and I'm going to give it to you where you can go and look this up. Anybody can find it. It's in plain sight. The realest stuff always hides in plain sight. So the Oscar statue is a replica of a statue by the name of the statue of Ptah. Ptah is spelled P-T-A-H, right? So you can look up the statue of P-T-A-H and you will see the knowledge of where the Oscar statue came from. It's a replica, okay? The whole name is Asar Ptah. I just say Ptah so you remember that P is on the front. I know the P is silent. Because this is two energies, Asar, Ptah, but it is symbolized in one unified way. Okay? So Ptah is what they call also the eternal soul. Because remember, all these things are symbolic of something else. All the physical things are something else in the unseen, and everything in the unseen makes its way onto the scene some type of way, right? That's how we have everything we have. So that's no different than, again, thinking of something and then creating it, right? It makes its way from the unseen into the scene, into the realm, okay? It starts off as an idea. So with this, the first thing, I wrote down some notes because I don't want to miss anything with this. So Asar Ptah is also the eternal soul. I want to give you multiple ways to see this, right? Now, it is said that the eternal soul rests in what they call the netherworld. This is what they called it back then in ancient Egypt. They referred to it as the netherworld. Now, the netherworld also goes by the name Duat, which is D-U-A-T, Duat. Now, this also means the astral plane. So when you hear people talking about the netherworld, it is also reference to the astral plane, which we call also the fifth dimension, and we also call it the dream realm. So I'm giving you all these, what we call the same thing. I'm giving you all these names because I want to alleviate your confusion. I want to give this to you in a way that you will really understand this, okay? So the netherworld, or the netherworld, whatever you want to call it, is also the Duat, which is also the astral plane, which is also referred to as a special place of existence. This is how they referred to it in ancient Egypt, a special place of existence. Now, it's been believed in their teachings to be the ultimate destination for those that become spiritually enlightened, the nether realm, right? This is the ultimate destination. They also refer to it as the realm of supreme peace. So now let me stop right there. This is why when a person passes away, we say what? Rest in what? Peace. Because this is the place of supreme peace. This is the realm of supreme peace. This is Duat. This is the netherworld. This is the astral plane. This is the realm without the body attached. So you can simplify all of that. This is the realm that you can go to without the body attached, right? So some of you might be saying, well, when you die, you go to that realm. So how do you experience that realm while you're alive? Good question. Whoever had that thought, good thought. How you go to that realm while you're still alive is by going to sleep and going into a dream. All right, so follow me on this. This is why we say peace to each other and stuff like that. We're wishing each other supreme peace. We're wishing each other to be in that place that we could exist in what they call spiritual enlightenment, right? Because this is also where they say is the ultimate destination for those that become spiritually enlightened. You might think it's called heaven or nirvana, right? This is all the same stuff. This will also show you the knowledge of heaven and the netherworld being the exact same place. Because there is not two locations or anything like that. It is where the energy of your spirit guides you. You will refer to that place by how you feel about that place. I might be in a place and not think it ain't that bad. You might be in the same place and think this is horrible. So you have to understand these knowledges and beliefs of the heaven and hell concept and how that relates to you yourself. These are concepts, right? You torture yourself with these concepts. You have to understand that. So, moving forward, the Oscar statue is a replica of the Ptah statue. Okay? Now, the Oscar is what I told you before, the Jed or the Duat, right? Remember the word Duat that I just mentioned? Okay, there's a word called Jed, D-J-E-D. The Jed is actually the staff part. This is what we're calling the staff. This is also known as the Jed, D-J-E-D, okay? This is used to reference the realm of the Duat, or the astral plane. So, Asar, which I told you, this is Asar, Ptah, right? The Asar part, Asar symbolizes spiritual resurrection, the ability to wake up from sleep. Follow me on this. This is deep. You got to catch this. So Asar, Ta, you say, okay, that's Asar's part. Asar, okay, Asar. Asar is referring to the astral plane. Asar is the energy in the astral plane. The Jed is referring to the astral plane. The Asar is the energy in the astral plane that symbolizes spiritual resurrection. Let's simplify that. Let's say Asar is the energy that gives you the ability to wake up from a dream. Okay? So let's say when you realize you're having a dream and you wake up. When you get hurt in a dream, you fall, you wake up. That's Asar. Let's say Asar shows up. Asar shows up, boom. That means you wake up. That is the symbolization of spiritual resurrection. Okay? Take that in. That energy is personified with the name Asar. Okay? So we'll call that the waking up ability from sleep. Okay? Now, moving on. We have Asar Ptah. So what is Ptah? What does that mean? Well, Ptah is the Ankh and the Jed together, right? So Ptah is the statue itself that holds the Ankh and the Jed together. This is the pole with the Ankh on top. You'll see this when you look up PTAH statue. When you look that up, you'll see that the staff that he's holding has a Ankh at the top. You guys should know what an Ankh is by now. So that Ankh is connected to a Jed, which is also a type of staff. It has 4 horizontal lines at the top of it. That's a Jed. You'll see that in a lot of the ancient Egyptian art and the what do you call it? The hieroglyphics. You'll see a lot of that in the hieroglyphics on the wall. The Jed pillar. It's like a pillar and it has these 4 levels towards the top of it, right? So remember the word Jed and why I'm saying this. I hope this is not getting confusing. I really do. So just to recap, it's the Asar statue in comparison to the Asar Ptah statue. Asar Ptah. Now, when you look at that statue, it'll be holding a staff. That staff is known as the Jed, D-J-E-D, and also the Ankh, A-N-K-H. Okay? These two things are connected to make the staff that the Ptah statue is holding. Alright? So, what is the Ankh? Let's break this down. The Ankh has 2 things on it. Actually, 3 things. It has a circle at the top, a line going down, and a horizontal line around the middle of it. The circle at the top is known as Shin. Now, what this means is eternity. That's why it's a ring. That's why you use rings when you get married. Anything circular with the closed loop is Shin, which is representation of eternity. Okay? Now, the line going down is actually known as object, right? Which means to them in ancient Egypt, object meant something that existed in time and space. So it was something gross. It was something physical, right? So with this symbol, with this symbolization, you had something physical combined with something eternal, right? So we know also that the Ankh circle represents the vagina. And we also know that the stick going down represents the penis. So this is also the knowledge of eternity and the object that exists in time and space, right? When that gross object enters into eternity, it can create, okay? So this is a powerful knowledge when you're looking at the Ankh symbol. What is the horizontal line that goes across the Ankh symbol? This represents the children. This represents what you have created with this union. This represents your creation. So that is a slight breakdown of the Ankh symbol. The Jed is the symbol that looks like a staff, kind of. It looks like let's say a pillar, and then it has the 4 horizontal lines towards the top of it. This is a symbol for power. So the Ankh is a symbol for life and the life process. The Jed is a symbol for power. We know that symbol for power is also a symbol for what? Electricity. Don't you go to the power company to pay your electric bill? So the power is also to them the knowledge of electricity. Also the knowledge of the serpent. Well, how does that go together? Well, this is the knowledge of why a serpent makes the hissing sound and sounds the same way electricity sounds, because that is what they call the serpent energy. And that is why that is related to the tree of life, because that is serpent represents Kundalini energy. What is the tree of life? That represents the spine. So in this case, the Jed pillar also represents the spine. But the reason it's a pillar like this and has the 4 horizontal lines and you don't see a snake is because this represents the electricity that exists within the spine, that exists within every spine. Imagine somebody punches you in your spine and you feel that electric shock that runs through your body. This is what I'm talking about. This is the knowledge of you being an electric being. Electricity is all you got. Your brain fires on electric impulses. That's why it's important to have water in your system. The ultimate conductor of electricity. You know what happens when you get in, when anything is in water and you add electricity, it's fried instantly. The ultimate conductor. So understand why it's important for you to be taking in the alkaline water and the mineral water, because these things have metals and minerals and things that need to conduct. So the Jed pillar and the Ankh combined are what the Ptah statue is holding. And as an interesting side note, I was looking at this and thinking the power lines that we see on the side of the highways also look just like the Jed pillar. So it makes a lot of sense that the Jed pillar represents what? Power and electricity held in the spine. So I hope that made this a lot clearer for you. All right, moving forward. So in ancient Egypt, there were 2 gods in charge of picture making, craftsmanship, and artistry, right? So these 2 gods were known as the 2 that I've already mentioned, Asar and Ptah. I've given you the back energy of those 2 things. Asar, the wake up energy, the ability to wake up from a dream, right? That energy personified. Ptah is the one who holds the Ankh and the Jed. The one that holds the Ankh and the Jed, representing the energy. Where does Ptah come in with his most important role? So in Egypt, there were 2 gods in charge of picture making, craftsmanship, and artistry. Ptah was one of them. So what would happen is the best craftsmen, the best scribes, the best sculptors that created whatever they created, that created the best art, right? The best artists of the communities. Guess what, guys? When you read back into ancient Egyptian history and what they were recording and writing down and putting on those walls and hieroglyphics as stories, they tell you that they were given a statue of the god Ptah, P-T-A-H, by the pharaoh himself. So the pharaoh would hold a ritual at the temple of Ptah, and you can look that up, P-T-A-H. In front of that temple that's located in Memphis, Egypt, in front of that temple of Ptah, you're going to see the Jed pillar. Look this stuff up. You'll now know why it's there, though, when you look at it. It won't just be a picture for you now. You'll be able to look at it and say, oh, that's the Jed pillar. That represents the electricity of the spine. That is the temple of Ptah, which was simply built as another thing to represent the magnificence of the human creature. Once again, an energy that we possess. I always demystify these gods and goddesses and show you guys that these are just personifications of energies that you actually possess, but have not waken up to those abilities because you're still under the illusion that some of those things are outside of you. You haven't made yourself big enough yet. Think about that. You haven't made yourselves big enough yet if you don't get this. So they would hold special ceremony at the Temple of Ptah in Memphis, and the pharaoh would give statues of Ptah to all the best artists and creators of the community. So I know that you guys understand what I'm getting at with this Hollywood ritual they call the Oscars. Keep following me. So in Hollywood, the ceremony of the Oscars was also done in what you would call a temple, right? For a long time. This is from 1947 all the way to the year 2000. I did my history on this. This stuff, this ritual was held in a temple called the Shrine Auditorium. The Shrine Auditorium. If you know about the shrines, you understand that this is a temple. So from 47 to the year 2000, they were holding the Oscars ceremony, which they clearly tell you it is a ceremony, right? The only time you need a ceremony is when you're doing a ritual. You gotta understand this stuff. They're telling you right to your face, but you're not understanding the words and the terminologies that they're using so plainly, so you're not grasping the energy of these things. They all come from your ancestors. These people are worshiping ancient Egypt with more knowledge than you even have of ancient Egypt. Do you guys understand what I'm showing you? It was said in the older stories that the netherworld, or Duat, or the underworld, whatever you want to call it, or the dream realm, or the astral plane, or what they called a special place of existence, or what they call the realm of supreme peace, was ruled by Osiris in the constellation Orion. And y'all over here celebrating an Oscar, not understanding it was a play off of the word Osiris. The Os. You guys need to study etymology. So the story of ancient Egypt is that the pharaoh's soul would be assumed into Orion, and the pharaoh would be reborn as a star to live for eternity. Does that sound familiar? Anybody who wants to be a star? Huh? But here's the catch with the story they give us from ancient Egypt that was recorded back then. It says, but the pharaoh, his soul would have to transform into a spirit to reach Osiris. What does that mean, y'all? Doesn't that sound a lot like becoming man? You gotta understand what they're talking about. They're doing rituals on everybody in plain sight, and the average person don't see none of it, but they're giving that jet energy. They're giving that electricity from their spine directly to the ritual. This is what I'm showing y'all. So it was said that the pharaoh's soul would have to transform into a spirit to reach Osiris. And once it reached Osiris, it was immortalized and remembered forever. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Does that sound like Hollywood action to y'all? You have to go and become a star so you can be immortalized forever, and you even get a what? Star on the Walk of Fame. You guys got to understand this stuff. It's Hollywood magic. What is Hollywood? It's the wood that they use to make what they call them magic wands. Hollywood. Look the stuff up. It's a certain type of wood for a reason. So they would be immortalized once they reached Osiris and would be remembered forever. Everybody wants to be a star. So this is the same as a person must become a Caleb or a celebrity by way of acting a part, by way of playing another persona. This is the soul having to become another spirit, something different than it is, to reach Osiris, to be immortalized, to be remembered forever. These are the people out there playing parts. It's not the blessing that you think it is. There's other ways to have time. Because guess what, y'all? It ain't money that you want. It's time. It's time. That's the real value in the money. It's using it to do things that can create time to be. That's why you gotta get it. Because, look, real simple, real quick. Since I said you gotta get it, real simple, real quick. How do you get it? Remember, do what makes your heart feel good. The money will be a byproduct of your light-hearted actions. Once you get the money, understand that it is just energy. use that energy to join with your energy and create by planting a seed into whatever you believe in with your heart. That's it. So that's what I mean in a nutshell. Getting back to this. This is the same way a person has to become a celebrity by acting a role and taking on different personas to win these awards so that they can be immortalized and remembered. What I'm giving you is the knowledge of award shows. What is award? Do you guys know that means that you're owned? This is like a show to show who owns. I own all this. Bring out all my assets, all my walking assets. Bring them all out on stage. Dress them in the finest linens and bring them out down the red, which we know symbolizes root chakra, blood, lineage. That one red line. Come on, guys, this is easy stuff. That one red bloodline that we all walking down the Calebs. Come on, guys. It's nothing but a ritual. It all is. Don't get caught up in that. But you need to get the knowledge of it. So just realize the same stuff they doing, giving each other awards for the best creators. Even the statue itself still being a rendition of the Ptah statue. It's just despicable and stupid. And for people to applaud it and think it's real, you guys are goofy. And for the Christians and people that belong in stuff but still watch award shows and participate with this and that, and you buying stuff made by this and made from that, that's why I say, drop everything. Stop being a part of groups and clubs and sections and factions. Let that stuff go. Become yourself to the 100, to the fullest percent, to the 100%. Become yourself to the fullest. See what that feel like. My brain couldn't even function for a minute because I'm like 100% full. Is like I'm seeing all the meters on full. That's how I perceive things. I can get jumbled easy because my mind is full always. But this is how I empty it. See what I'm saying? Because you got to empty to be able to take back in. I'm not full of myself. You see? It's all right to temporarily fill up as long as you're going to let it out. That's natural process of life. Right? So once you reach the pinnacle and get these awards, you're immortalized. And we know that the pinnacle is the knowledge of the pyramid, another tribute to us. And my main message to my people on this one is this is just another example of how this country respects your ancestors more than you do. You don't even know this stuff about your own ancestors. And you out here supporting a sensitive man, doing stuff within a ritual area, this whole energy on this date with this Oscars and the Osiris, all the stuff they doing, y'all can't take this stuff serious. See it for the energy that it is and what it's producing. These people need help. You got Bruce Willis coming out talking about he got brain problems where he can't even understand stuff now. What? But you've been remembering lines for how many years? That's what I'm telling y'all. These people are having mental breakdowns, and I think that more times than not, they are on the edge. But because they can get a hold of the best drugs, the best alcohol or pacifiers, whatever they want to use, this stuff sustains them until we hear another tragic story. So I don't think that people understand. Stop celebrating people's mental illness when they get up and act a fool. That's stupid. And especially in the black community, you should be ashamed that once again, this is how we look. And for you black women that's applauding it and saying he's real, he's a real man, is that what you want? A man that says he throws a fit, tears up everything in the house, and then after he does it, he goes up and says something like, love makes you do crazy things? Is that what y'all want? Maybe y'all need to talk to some people or some women that then caught some black eyes. and some men for that matter. Maybe y'all need to talk to some of them. Or maybe you can't talk to some of them because they're deceased. And they were with one of those. A man struggling to know what and who he is. He never stood up to his father. He has issues he has not dealt with, whether it's with his father, his mother, or self. And this is any man I'm talking about. That is a dangerous man because he is dangerous to others and himself. The best man is the dangerous man that is under total control of self. Get you a graduated man, not one that's on the way. Because if he's saying stuff like love make you do crazy things, he looking for a reason. Trust me. He or she. So that was my take on this. I wanted to give you a little bit of my take on him as a black male, different perspectives. Then I wanted to hit you with the knowledge of the event as a whole and how people were allowed to take shots and he picked and chose who he wanted to have a problem with. So don't take this stuff too serious, y'all. I'm not doing any more episodes about it. This was my one about that. My next episode, I'm actually just going to go a little more deeper into the mysteries of the Anunian theology a little bit, into the Ankh, and into the Jed. And what I also want to tell you, I don't want to forget this, matter of fact, oh, I'm glad I remembered this. Here's a connection I want to give you before we go. Jed. I told you what the Jed was. I showed you the symbolization of it by describing it, right? By telling you it's the pillar with the four horizontals. Now there's also a word called the Jedu, right? Jedu. Now a lot of y'all ain't heard this word because you say, well, why does that sound familiar? Because the Jedu had to deal with the awakened human. And what they described it as is the soul that is well established and steadfast or stable in the knowledge of self. That is, one who has become enlightened. He knows what is below, he knows what is above, and he has basically ascended the knowledge of both. Okay, this is the Jedu. What does this sound like? Somebody knows. The Jedi Knight, right? This is where Star Wars got this knowledge from, of the Jed. You know that and turned it into the Jedi. Return of the Jedi. Guys, you got to know that it's always about melanin and it's always about you. You got to be the Skywalker in this situation. You see, just real quick, Skywalker was a supposed good guy, right? But he found out he was created by the antithesis of evil. Darth Vader, Darth, another word that means black. So the Skywalker, Luke, had to understand what was above and below. He had to understand both of those. Realize he was both of those. And he had to embrace that along his journey. This is the Jedi warrior. This is also when people say jet black. This is the jet black-eyed warrior. You gotta understand these codes. This is the Jedi with the D-J-E-D. The Jedu, the Jedi. The one who has the knowledge, who has overstood his ability and has achieved waking up. And if you notice, I used the word steadfast. The Bible tells you to be steadfast. So I'm just trying to show you this is also what the Jed symbol symbolizes, steadfastness, already being established. The ancient Egyptian word Jedu, once again, refers to the abode of Asar within the Duat. So this Jedu symbolically refers to where Asar, which we told you was that wake-up energy, where that lives within the Duat, which we told you was the astral plane. You could also reference the astral plane as the subconscious. I didn't give you that one. The subconscious is also the underworld or the astral plane. Okay? So the Jedu refers to Asar, right? So that means that the Jedi or the Jedu has the wake up ability. He has awakened, right? He is enlightened. The Jedu also refers to steadfastness or stability, as well as the pillar of Asar. So all these things I'm showing you, these pillars, the Jet pillar of Asar, the statue of Asar being the same as the statue of Oscar, is just a rendition of that. I'm giving it to you simple and plain. This is the tree, this is the spine, this is the electricity of the spine. I mean, guys, this is the thing that keeps you upright. This is why they say you need to be upright. You need to be a stand-up guy, not a lay-down guy. This is the energy that keeps your back straight. Look into this stuff, man. It's deeper. Alright? So this one has been long enough. I'm going to get off, but that was my take on the whole slap incident. I had to throw some knowledge in there so you can get some of the energy behind some of these things, whether it's real, whether it's fake. I don't really care. I just want to say my 3 cents on it and keep it moving, right? Look, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate the supporters, listeners, repeat listeners. I'm getting new programs. We're upgrading, getting some new people to come work with me, help me do some stuff. So keep looking forward to it. Keep coming back and seeing when I drop something. You know it's going to be meaningful when I do get on here and talk. So I appreciate y'all. And yeah, until next time, this has been another episode of My 3 Cents. So wholeness, 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 and Jedi gratitude.